Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about a few recent events in Australia where alleged transgender activists have sought to disrupt, interrupt, and otherwise frustrate attempts by groups they call right-wing. One of them was a Christian group meeting at a church, for goodness sake. But I just want to talk a little bit about this because it indicates that, in effect, the globalist controlled state, as in the government, the Western government, the globalist controlled state is very much on the side of the pro-globalist shock troops, the pro-globalist foot soldiers, whether they be BLM rioters, Antifa rioters, or transgender activists, or any form of activism that causes Western social disruption and dysfunction and causes the humiliation and the demoralization and degradation of Western society. Any group that does that is a globalist foot soldier unit. That's their purpose. That's what they're there for. So any of those that oppose it must be crushed by the state, whether it be Merrick Garland's Justice Department or so-called Justice Department in the United States, or the police. Now, the police across the Western world have effectively become a unit to enforce globalist ideology and to arrest those who may oppose it. So I just want to look at a couple of examples recently. This is in Australia. So now there's this church group meeting, or they're meeting at a church, and a politician's been invited to speak. And this politician is proposing to introduce laws that will, prevent things like drag queen story hour for children, and will limit the amount of explicit sexual material available to children through the schools and in the libraries, and really basic mainstream stuff. He's hardly a radical, far from it. He's very, very much centre and very much mainstream. And I think 80% plus more of the Australian population would agree with this politician's position. So anyway, I don't think it was widely broadcast that this politician was speaking. There's only going to be like 100 or so folks at this church, and this church group, and it's held in a church. And but somehow the activists found out about it. Now, there wasn't a big group. There was, people say there was between 30 and 50 activists, but the church was in a sort of a narrower street, and they blocked. The activists stood across the street, blocking people who wanted to try and come in. Now, the parking lot was in about down that side street on the other end of the church, or the other side of the church rather, and it was a one-way street coming into that street from the other side. So you had to come in from the main road. Now, the main road had no parking in it, or certainly not in that section. So you had to park quite a way off and walk. So they were preventing vehicles from coming in and parking, and they were attempting to frustrate people from entering the street, and also frustrate people from going in the doorway of the church. So this was outrageous behaviour, in my view, and what right did they have to block the street or block the doorway to the church? So now the police, for some reason, chose not to do anything about this. They could have moved these people and said, hey, you're blocking a public street. You have no legal authority to do that. We're moving you on. If you don't move on, we will arrest you. But the police chose, as I understand it at least, chose to do nothing at this point. So they stood aimlessly by, allowing these people, these people that are very pro-globalist, pro the globalist thing, globalist foot soldiers there to demoralize Western society. And the police chose to do nothing, even though it was blatant and clear illegality. You can't just harass people in the street, so I'm not going to let you go in that doorway. Similarly, you can't just block off a public street. There's not a private road. You can't block off a public street. So, well, we don't like your point, your views, or we don't like who you are, so we're not going to let you drive down a public street. Oh, wow. Now, the police, I mean, there are ample laws for this. The police don't need any special permission or something. The laws are quite clear, but they chose not to do anything. They allowed these people to stop the Christians from going into the church. Somebody, I mean, the Christian group must have called out for some help, and so a bunch of people turned up who were pro the Christian group, and or even if they weren't pro the Christian group, they were pro the right of these people to speak and to hear this politician speak again in a church. So these guys came around and they just physically moved these activists out of the way. Now the activists were refusing, it's pushing and shoving, but there were more of the pro Christian people, so they were successfully removing these folks who were illegally blocking the access. But then it was only then the police, right then, that's where the police decided to get involved. And then they say, okay, it's a riot, it's become underground, so we're stepping in now to restore order. Well, why didn't you fucking step in before? Why did you step in and stop these people from illegally blocking a public fucking street? Why didn't you do that? But so they interceded at that point, then claimed that the people that were moving the illegal activists out of the way, they claimed that they were the violent ones. Those are the Nazis! Whereas the good people who were blocking the street and preventing people from moving around and preventing people from listening and putting forward their point of view, they're the pure people, they're the good ones. But the people that stop them, they're the Nazis, Hitler. And so they arrested some of these people. And then, now it gets better. Then the police, representative of the police, goes to the politician who's speaking and saying, well, you're the cause, in words to the effect, you're the cause of all this trouble out there. You're the cause. So just to calm things down, you should not speak. And that'll satisfy the activists that want to shut you up and prevent people from listening to you. Can you believe it? This is an elected representative of the people. And the police are saying you can't talk to the people, even though you're a democratically elected representative. I mean, the outrage of that. So my understanding is that the politician refused and said words to the effect that he wasn't going to be part of the cancel culture or accepted. And he as I understood it, spoke at that meeting. But I just want you to note this how very selective the police always are now across the Western world. So a BLM riot, burn down buildings, do what you want, police do nothing. You protest about COVID and they'll pull out the truncheons and the guns and start shooting at you. That's the so any riot that is in support of the globalist project, demoralizing and spreading dysfunction in Western society, that's fine. You don't arrest anybody doing that. That's good work. You're doing good work. We want to destroy Western culture, so you're doing good work, buddy. But you want to have a Christian meeting and a democratically elected representative of the people comes along to speak. No, you have to shut it down. You're upsetting the activists. It's your fault if something goes wrong. You're upsetting them. So, and that's how it is now. I've noticed this in the coverage in the media, which is all, as you know, globalist controlled, is very much far right politician stirs up hatred because he's a fucking Nazi. And the people that are there to shut him down, they're good people trying to stop Nazis. So they're allowed to do that. And as we know, Nazis have no legal rights, because they're fucking Nazis. Whereas the people that are breaking the law, they're the good people. They're not Nazis. They're the good people. So they're allowed to do it with police assistance. Now, that's where we're at now. And I sort of just want that to sink in, because it's who would believe that a major step like this could even have occurred. But there was another, not dissimilar incident where, again, the police only intervened when the pro-globalist activists were in trouble. Until that time, the pro-globalist activists could do what they want, disrupt who they wanted, push around who they wanted, threaten who they wanted. But as soon as another group comes up that stops them or prevents them from doing their disruptive work, then the police will intervene. So, and this is not just in states or regions or territories where, say, hard left governments might be in office. These are even centre-right governments are still protecting, and openly so, protecting those activists who will prevent, in this case, like a Christian meeting from taking place. That's how bad it is now. And we're seeing it all over the Western world, not just in Australia, but in Britain, the United States, Canada, and so on. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.